Namaste, friends and family, Venus lovers, soul tribe. It's Dr. Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Woo! How's everybody feeling? I mean, I woke up this morning and I felt really anxious. Like I just needed to get this video out. I don't even know what it's called. But basically, what we are going to do is go through all the energy from this full moon, which is today, Tuesday the 23rd, to about the 7th of May. Okay. The 7th, 8th is when the next new moon is. This full moon is the completing, is the swelling, is the highest energy of this eclipse new moon that we had 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of energy going on. In the next couple of weeks, there's several sign changes, there's direction changes, and there are aspects to Pluto that I think are really important. I think we need to talk about. Um, Also, tonight is the Pluto class. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be really, really good. I've got a very long PowerPoint to share with you guys. It's about 90 slides right now after I added the examples into it. And we're going to start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. So I'm going to leave a link in this video, in the description, and in the comments. And I want you guys to check out the Pluto class. I'm going to show you some slides of it as we go through the presentation so that you guys can get an idea of what the class is going to be like. I also have a Pluto meditation. So this meditation is basically a beautiful tribute to the energy of Pluto. And we ground our lower three chakras so that we can really experience the transformational energy in a safe and secure way. I created all the music for this meditation. So if you don't want to join my class and you don't want to get a reading, you can check out the meditation. And I also have a Pluto reading. And the few that I've done have been absolutely incredible. I absolutely love this reading. So if you have been struggling with your Pluto energy, if you consider yourself a Plutonian person, you actually have a magical superpower. And I can show that to you with this Pluto reading. We take it, I basically go review your chart, sun, moon, rising, lunar nodes. Then we talk about your Pluto in great detail, what it's aspecting. Then we look at the sky right now and see what planets are doing to your Pluto and Pluto's doing to your planets. Then we take a look at your progressed energy and your solar arc energy. And you get the meditation for free if you do this reading. So I'm going to leave all of that below. And I think that's the only thing I wanted to talk about with you today. So let's get into the energies. I wanted to show you the next 2 weeks in a lot of different ways because as many of you know, we do constellational astrology on this channel. We do not, tropical energy is good, but constellational astrology follows the sky, and that's what I love. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the sky. Let's just see what's happening in the sky, just like our ancestors did. So if we were to take away the sun and look up in the sky right now, this is where the moon is. And you can see it's in the constellation of Virgo. And the reason it's different is because all the constellations have drifted over the last several thousand years. So they're no longer in the places they were when we originally started practicing astrology. But when we originally started practicing astrology, about 500 years later, the powers that be decided that looking at the sky labeled you as a heretic, labeled you as a witch. So astrology went underground and it became easier to calculate where everything was using the perfect symmetry of 12 within the slice of the sphere that we use called zodiac. So that's what happened. But now we're not going to be labeled as heretics anymore. We're not going to be outcast from society if we choose to look at the sky and use the sky as the map for our soul guided living. So here's the moon in Virgo. And as we go through the next couple of weeks, which is what I'm going to take you through, you can see the moon moves very quickly through these signs. Okay, so we're going to go all the way to the next new moon. This is stellarium-web.org. So right about here is that new moon. Okay, and the sun has just moved into the constellation of Aries. We're going to look at Jupiter moving into Taurus. We're going to look at Mercury going direct. We're going to look at Pluto going retrograde, Venus entering Aries, and Uranus entering Taurus, as well as a couple of aspects that are also being made. So that's one way you can look at the sky through that. If you've got the Capricorn Prometheus software, you can also generate a chart of the current sky. So this is today, right now. And what you can do is animate this day by day. So what you're going to be looking at here is this Virgo full moon right here, which is what we're doing today. And watch it as it goes through the next couple of weeks. See, there you have it. So this is what we just did in the sky. And so now you can see the moon moving through the zodiac wheel. And then right here is the Aries new moon. This is going to be good because it's the moon is going to be going over both Uranus and Jupiter. And then a few days later, the sun is going to join Jupiter and Uranus, and then Venus will move in there. So we'll definitely take a look at that in a couple of weeks. Okay. So I like that. I like looking at that. I also like looking at these time maps that Capricorn Prometheus generates. You can get these at this software at masteringthezodiac.com. I don't get any money for saying that. I just absolutely love this software. And here it is laid out in a 2-week format, day by day. So here you can see the transiting planet and what it is aspecting. So it tends to be the quicker moving planets on the left side and the slower moving planets on the right side when you're doing general astrology. Now, I have also made my own calendar because I love doing that. And what I wanted to show you, this is the map that I put up a couple of weeks ago when I sat with the Luminary Entrepreneurs Expert Panel, because I didn't want to get too far into the weeds with all this energy building up to this particular day, which includes the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, the Mars sextiling Uranus and Jupiter, and the Sun squaring Pluto, and the Sun entering into Aries. All that was plenty for a swelling moon, right? But I added the next couple of weeks, and you can see it really doesn't let up too much. Right after this moon, we're going to have a little bit of a release, but Mercury's going to go direct. Jupiter's going to enter Taurus. And so there's all kinds of new energies that our emotions and our psyche are going to have to kind of get familiar with as this next phase of energy comes through. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to go back and forth between this particular calendar and the time map, because I think it'll be helpful to see it. I like to put it in calendar because we work with calendars every single day. But for me, my work week's totally changed, you guys. I started my new job, and I don't really have like a Monday morning routine anymore because I do shift work. So it's actually quite incredible, and I have more time to think about these things for you. So the moon has been waxing, but over this next couple of weeks here, after today's full moon, we're going to have a waning moon. So the energy is going to be calming down a little bit in terms of our emotional energy. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which started on the 14th, peaked on the 20th, and will be waning away from us tomorrow, is also waning. So whatever that faith and expansion and metamorphosis of the self that you were feeling, that's kind of coming down now, and it's going to be grounded in the constellation of Taurus. Venus was conjunct retrograde Mercury, North Node, and Chiron also during this whole time. So that is also waning as Venus moves into closer to the constellation of Aries. And then the Mars sextiling Uranus and Jupiter is waning, as well as the Sun square Pluto. So you guys were probably feeling all of this over the end of last week, over the weekend, and it should be calming down a little bit now. The moon is quick this week. It goes through basically from Libra right here into Scorpio and Ophiuchus over the weekend, enters Sagittarius on Sunday the 28th, goes into Capricorn on the 30th, moves into Aquarius on the 2nd, and then will conjunct Neptune on the 4th, and then move into Aries on the 6th for the new moon. Okay, so the moon will be moving through all of that. And then finally, we have Mercury stationing direct this week. So these green dots are the energy of Mercury conjunct the North Node in retrograde, opposing the South Node in retrograde, moving direct tomorrow, and then continuing that conjunction until approximately around the 30th. Okay, so what does all this mean? Oh my goodness, you're talking so much, Dr. Danny. So let's actually look at this. I'm going to put this down and open that back up because, yeah, there we go. Because what I like to look at is this chart right here. So you guys can see some of the aspects. Okay, let's go back a few days, back to this particular week. We're going to do the days right after this full moon. Okay, we're right here. So I want you to watch Mercury. Okay, Mercury is conjunct the North Node right now. Venus is conjunct Chiron. So here we have this conjunction and this conjunction. They're all still pretty close. I mean, both of these conjunctions are within, 5 degrees of each other. So the energy is still very, very relevant. What are we getting when we have this Mercury going direct, swinging around our lunar node, and then coming backwards? It's almost like there's a highlight. There's a highlight to that nodal energy. What is it that the planet of our mind wants us to acknowledge? What is it that wants to be transmitted and or received from this combination of energy? Well, let's talk a little bit about the North and South Node. Those are really important. You guys probably heard me talk about this before, but the North Node is our collective destiny, while the South Node is our collective karma, where we come from, the energy that we are used to, right? So as we move this forward a few days, this is the full moon today. This is tomorrow when Mercury stations direct and then begins his rapid movement around the backside of the sun. So he'll look like he's going direct again. So moving away quickly. So the North Node in Pisces is our collective evolution towards universal love and oneness, towards understanding that where we all come from is the exact same place, no matter how we choose to express ourselves in this particular lifetime, as a male, as a female, as a pianist, as an astrologer, as a doctor, as a white person, as a black person. We are all one. That's where we come from. And I think as a collective, we have to realize that we don't really necessarily need to point out our differences in order to make things fair. We need to acknowledge and accept and celebrate our differences. And that's part of unity. And then coming from the South Node, that opposition is balancing with the energy where we come from. There's a lot of wounding and hurt in the energy of Virgo. And for the South Node to spend so much time here, as it has been the last year or so, or maybe even more, is basically commenting on our ability to remember that birthing mother sky goddess that we come from, to remember the lineage of the matriarch, to remember that we are creator beings. There's thousands of galaxies in the constellation of Virgo. It represents the Virgo cluster in our local cosmos. Galaxies, thousands of them. If you were to Google how many galaxies are in Cancer, you might get 10 to 100. Whereas if you Google how many galaxies are in the constellation of Virgo, you would get well over 1,000. It's a very powerful place in the sky, and not very well recognized either. So we come from a place of enormous power. And so Mercury, the antenna, the transmitter, the receiver, the transaction maker, the planet of our mind, is literally swirling around that North Node and is going to start moving forward again. So that's that energy there. If y'all want to learn more about Mercury, I do have a Mercury class. I did that a couple weeks ago right before Mercury went retrograde. So it's a different kind of astrology course. It's not to teach you like how to interpret Mercury, but how to understand Mercury as a particle, as a planet, and also as a wave, as a frequency. And it's really, really helpful. You will never experience Mercury retrogrades the same. In fact, you'll probably look forward to them after you take that course. So I'll leave a link for that below. But I definitely wanted to talk about that because I think this is a big deal, and it's a clue from the sky that there's some knowledge coming to us about this particular energy, about our collective involvement. And if we sit with spirit, if we listen to it, if we interpret our dreams, understand what's going on, then we have a little bit of an advantage. We can be ready. The next big thing that is happening that I wanted to show you guys. Oh man. Prometheus is goofy sometimes on this laptop. It kind of like makes itself a priority. So that's this line right here. And the next energy that we're going to run into is from the 27th of April to the 30th of April. And this is Mars conjunct Neptune. Okay. I'll show you that in a chart real quick if I can. Right. So we'll move. This is what it looks like here. So Mars conjunct Neptune right here. You can see that. Let's animate this chart. And there it is. So there's that conjunction right there. You see that? So that's in Pisces. Now, what do you get when you have Mars in Pisces? Mars in Pisces is the spiritual warrior. You know, there's a very deep and very noble cause that action energy is oriented towards right now. Mars achieves enlightenment by enacting the will of the creator, right? So whatever creative inspirations that you've got right now, Mars wants to take action in a forward way towards that spiritual goal that you're working on. Now, being conjunct Neptune, who attains enlightenment through all that is possible, okay, you have these two together, and what you get is very spirit-guided action. Spirit-guided action for the love of all, okay, for universal love and oneness. So this is very, very nice. The weeks leading up to this moon, the full moon that we're in today, we've felt a little bit held back in our actions because of Mars's contact with Saturn. But that contact is now severed, and Mars is in this dreamy landscape of Pisces, having a spiritual mission. So that's that. All right, let's see what is next on our calendar. We have Venus squaring on Pluto from the 29th to the 2nd as she transitions from Pisces into Aries. Okay, so let's take a look at that on the chart and see what that movement looks like. That's right here, Venus squaring Pluto. And when we look at it on a chart, you can see her right here, about to cross into Aries. But as she does that, she's squaring onto Pluto. Okay, so we'll see how long that energy lasts. See, she just crossed over, and then that square dissipates a few days later. Okay, so what is Venus squaring on Pluto? What does that energy feel like? It's only a few days, but it's going to activate some Plutonian energy for you. Okay, and this is where I wanted to kind of give you all a sneak peek onto the class. These are my resources for the class. So this isn't just, you know, something that I pull out of my rear end. This is actually researched information, and it's timely and it's modern, and it uses all 13 signs. And we look at Chiron as well as the lunar node. So you get really a nice complete picture of Pluto and how it interacts. So here is my Pluto aspecting Venus slide, okay? So whenever there's a Venus-Pluto contact anywhere in your chart, whether it's the current Pluto on your Venus or Venus transit on your own Pluto or transiting Venus and transiting Pluto, this is an energy of precipitating dramatic contact with another's wounds or your own wounds, your blind spots, or sharp psychological insight. Okay, so this isn't a conjunction. This is going to be a hard aspect, right? So the people that we get close to are the most intense teachers. So this can be one of the most painful astrological configurations when it's in your natal chart. Okay, so if you have a Venus square Pluto, you've had some painful relationships. You know, you tend to obsess over your creation. There is abuse that goes on through arousal. There's an energy that is aroused by power, for good or for evil. Okay, so even though these two tend to work very, very nicely together, if you don't use this energy consciously, then you get these results from the hard aspect. So anything Pluto you want to approach consciously. You don't just want to let your subconscious ego mind take over and deal with things. You don't want to get triggered. Pluto is so incredibly powerful. Thoughts become things. So emotions, energy and motion, that makes you have thoughts. Your thoughts make you do things. Okay. So we really have to be careful when Venus and Pluto are squared together in a chart like this. So that's coming up starting on the 29th. So next Monday, okay? That's going to be tough. Watch your relationships. Be careful. Be tender with people. Don't abuse your power. All right. Now, Mars is also going to sextile Pluto from the 30th until the 4th. And so the Venus and Mars energy with Pluto is going to overlap in the middle of next week. All right. So let's dive into the PowerPoint and take a look at what Mars energy with Pluto looks like. I'm sure you guys have a general idea of that. One of the key words in my old keywords for astrology book is basically extreme power. So when these two get together, there is extreme powerful energy. It typically precipitates expressions of assertiveness, territoriality, anger, revealing either passion or woundedness. Okay, so now you add this abusive power, this creation energy that you have with Venus and Pluto, and then you add the anger energy on top of that with Mars. Okay, now this is a soft aspect. This is not a hard aspect like Venus is doing. So this is a sextile. So this can be productive, high energy, but you can also waste your energy on superficial desires. So you really have to, this feels like an energy where we really have the opportunity to be incredibly powerful. Next week's going to be very, very powerful with the divine feminine and the sacred masculine aspecting onto Pluto. We have the opportunity to tap into some extremely powerful energy. And my warning is, let's be real careful with that, because with the divine feminine and the sacred masculine, we're talking about very interpersonal relationships here. Okay, so be very gentle with your Venus, be very gentle with your Mars energy. If you feel that heat firing up and you feel that anger coming to you, be very careful. Find some way to blow up your Martian steam. That way you can absolutely, control this energy and use it for good. That's the whole point of this. And then to make matters even more exciting, right in the middle of this overlap, Pluto is going to station retrograde. So what that means is that Pluto, because we're slowing down right now, is moving very, very slowly in relationship to where it is in the sky. This kicks off retrograde season. So Pluto's first, then comes Saturn, then comes Neptune, and then Chiron. So in the next month or two, we're going to have it's retrograde season is going to start. So you following me here, guys? So you've got this Venus square Pluto energy. You've got Mars sextile Pluto energy. As they overlap right in the middle, Pluto turns retrograde. So it becomes more personal. It goes from external to internal. It goes from transmitting to receiving. A retrograde planet is actually much more powerful than a stationing direct planet. And some of you guys have seen me do this before, but I'm just going to draw for you a quick solar system so you can see what I'm talking about. If this is your sun right here, and this is Earth, this distance is 93 million miles, okay? Pluto retrograde is going to be out here. So if this is Earth orbiting around the sun, when we're retrograde with any planet, it means that they're on our side, okay? So Mercury was right here. As he stations direct, he is moving to the other side of the sun, okay? And that's how they don't actually go retrograde. They just look like they're going retrograde from where we're standing right here on Earth. And so for me to have Pluto 93 million miles closer to us than he was 6 months ago, that means that this Pluto energy is much, much more powerful, okay? So yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing energy. All right. And also Venus goes into Aries. So we're going from Pisces to Aries energies for Venus. So that means that dreamy, sleepy, creative, juicy energy that you get in Pisces with your creative energy is now going to be out there in Aries, which is a fire sign, which is explosive, which is always ready to take off and get started. Okay. So Venus on fire, squaring to Pluto, that is going to stop, station, and turn around. Mars in spiritual Pisces, conjunct Neptune, guided by spirit, guided action, sextiling on Pluto as Pluto moves retrograde. That's next week, you guys. Okay. So starting on Saturday, these are the energies that you're going to be feeling this week, this coming week. Okay. So we have Jupiter went into Taurus today. Uranus is going to follow quickly behind on the 2nd of May. So this is Uranus entering into Taurus. So all of that unique and electric and metamorphosis type energy, the freedom energy, it's going to be grounded into Taurus energy. This means that what we're dealing with here, instead of the explosive changes, it's going to be more steady. It's going to be more calm. It may not even feel like it's moving fast enough. So there might be some frustration here because Taurus energy tends to be very slow and you're feeling spiritually guided. You're getting lit up by that Mars and Aries and Venus energy and Pluto. And then all of a sudden things just kind of slow down a little bit. So that could be a source of anger or frustration here as well this week. So we'll see how it feels when Uranus enters into Taurus. So you see how there's all this shifting energy, and you guys want to be ready for this, right? All right. Then between the 4th and the 9th of April, there is a couple of energies, 2 sextiles that we're going to look at. I'm sorry, 1 sextile and 1 conjunction. So first we have Sun sextiling onto Saturn. And then we've got Mercury conjunct to Chiron. Okay, these are the last 2 energies, and then I think we'll be about finished with this energy update. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's go back into the chart and just kind of see where we're at. Do a quick check here. All right, yeah. So you wouldn't get all this if you were just looking at this, right? You would just feel like, okay, yeah, the moon's moving from full to new, and there's all this going on. But as the moon moves through this space here, we're going to feel fired up, even though it's Pisces. So as the moon moves through these constellations. So where are we? We're from the 4th to the 5th of May. All right. So the moon just enters Pisces, hits Mars, hits Neptune, hits Saturn, hits the nodes, hits Mercury. This is what the moon is doing as it's going through Pisces and then hitting Venus and then the sun. So big hits this week. All right. So Mercury is now away from the node in a direct fashion, conjunct to Chiron. So the planet of our mind and the planet of our deep subconscious wounds and our healing are conjunct right now. In a waning moon energy. So it's very calm. It's probably very internal. There might be Chiron in Pisces is disconnection from spirit. So there could be communications to spirit to enable our collective healing because we are so connected to spirit. If you are, then you see synchronicities around you all the time. Your mind might think something and then you see it externally. And so there might be some messages from the deep subconscious or from spirit to you regarding your own healing, regarding your wounds and what you need to deal with. Unfortunately, Chiron really never actually heals from the wounds, just integrates them so that we have the ability to see ourselves in our completed, perfect woundedness and to appreciate ourselves and to love ourselves and to own those wounds and say, yes, if it weren't for these wounds, I wouldn't be who I am today. So that might be some of the energy that you're feeling when you've got Mercury conjunct to Chiron. And then we have Sun sextiling Saturn. So Sun has moved all the way over to the Aries. The sun doesn't stay here long, you guys. Aries is not 30 days in constellational astrology. It went in there on the 20th and will go into Taurus on the 13th of May. So very shortly after the new moon, we're going to have a Taurus sun. It'll be Taurus season. And when you look in the sky, the Aries constellation is very tiny. In fact, I think this line could actually be drawn a little bit more this way. So Pisces for me, when you look at the sky, is actually just a little bit longer, but the software uses the midpoint boundaries. So Sun sextiling Saturn. So Saturn's in Aquarius. Saturn will be the next planet to station retrograde a few days after Pluto does, probably within 10, 20, probably within a month. And this is always, Sun and Saturn is always an integrity energy. So Saturn is about stability. Saturn is about time. Saturn is about lessons. Saturn in Aquarius is about bringing in the structures, innovative and exciting ways to pull that together, structures and timing when it comes to collective energy, the friends around you, the love you receive, the things that you've got to do to make this world happen. And the sun is the highest expression of your spiritual self. And it's starting a new hero's journey through Aries. It's the beginning. It's the seedling growing up through the soil. So practicing integrity as this, because when you think of a seedling growing through the dirt, right? It's very tender, it's very new, it's very fresh, and you want to protect it. You want to make sure that it doesn't get trampled on. You want to make sure that you don't overwater it. You want to make sure that you bring it in the right timing. And so there may be some kind of new project, new expression that you're working on. Obviously, we're all going through that with that Jupiter Uranus conjunction, and I think when the sun gets closer to those two, it'll be a full flowering effect going on. We'll actually be able to tend to the energies of this new expression that we're taking on here. But Saturn needs to have a little say in that first. And it's an opportunity to make sure that all of the things that you need are in line. All of the practical issues are set down so that this full expression can take place responsibly. Okay, so this is the next 2 weeks, and then we get a new moon in Aries. So that'll be exciting. New moon, new zodiac cycle, a transit of abundance as Jupiter goes through Taurus. It's just a really good time that's coming. So you want to pay attention to spirit, your thoughts, what you get in prayer and meditation. Pay attention to those messages. Actions are going to be very spiritually guided at the moment. Saturn will help you responsibly express yourself. But Venus and Mars are going to have a little bit of tension with Pluto during next week. So here it is, the time map as well, so you guys can see it that way too. And then we'll take one more quick look at the calendar. Here it is. Okay. So I think that was about everything that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. A lot of energy coming up. I'm going to put timestamps down below so you can go back and review. All right. Yeah. So Pluto readings, if you want to get one of those, they're amazing. It will really help you out a lot. I'm not saying it's a pleasant experience. There might be some emotional stuff that you go through. And I'm not going to pull any punches or, sugarcoat it for you. But it is a nice process when you're feeling stuck and you go through something like that. It's like a release. It's like you laugh and then you cry and then you roar, So it's a nice process, and I hope you guys take advantage of that. The meditation will also come with that reading. You can get the meditation by itself, and then please sign up for this Pluto class tonight. This is going to be very, very epic. If you can't get into the class tonight, for example, if you're busy or you have something else to do, you can still sign up for the class. And by tomorrow or the next day, I will have that class in module form on the course website, so you can go back and review it. But the live class is nice because we do a little bit, we look a little bit at the astrology for today, and then we do a little grounding energy. We pause and kind of check in. And then at the end, we have a nice discussion, which you won't get that if you're not live. So Please join me if you can. Also, join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. That's where I post there almost every day. It's where we kind of get together as a group and learn about this kind of astrology, you know. Also, you can follow me on Facebook as well. And like this video if you love the energy, and subscribe if you're lurking. I'll see you guys next time. Namaste, guys.